So, I, Priyanshi, a student of the current 2021 at IIT now, and welcome you all to this session. Today, we have on the panel Mr. Nitesh Singh Patel, an alumnus of batch 2013-15. He is a sales executive with a work experience of 7 years in alcoholic beverages and FMCG industries, and always ready to learn, adapt, and excel in everything he does. Having worked with ITC Limited, Nitesh sir is currently working as the territory sales manager at Pernod Ricard India. We also have Dr. T.K. Chatterjee with us, who would be soon joining us later in the session. I'll now begin the session by putting forth a few questions to Nitesh sir that will revolve around the topic role of a B school in shaping corporate career, and thereafter we'll have an open Q&A round where all of you can type in your queries in the chat box and our guests are here to resolve them. So, beginning with the first question, why did you decide to do MBA?
Yeah, hi Priyanshi. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the warm welcome. And I was eagerly waiting for this session to happen. And it's so great to connect to all these MBA aspirants or to current students in IMT. And because IMT is all I mean has already become a very big part of my life now. I mean, I cannot imagine my life without IMT right now. I cannot describe myself. Uh, when I talk about myself, I cannot describe myself without IMT. So, coming to your question, why did I join? Why did I decided to go for MBA? So, I'm giving you a brief, background of my journey. I'm a electronics and telecommunication engineer by education. So when I was in, I guess, second year or third year, maybe the beginning of my third year, I had made up my mind that because hello,
Yes, sir, you're audible.
yeah. So I actually, as I was pursuing engineering, so during my engineering course, I realized that I was enjoying the not the technical part of it, but the managerial part of it very much. I mean, um, you know, organizing some events or taking part in some technical events or all those things, and organizing all those things. So I decided that maybe my skill lies more in managing all these things rather than going for the technical part. So within in third year, I decided that yes, I have to go for MBA, and that time I joined a catering institute, and from there I got to know that why MBA is going to how MBA is going to add on to my skills right now, what I'm having right now. So decided to go for MBA in third year, and then I mean I I mean because I didn't have any practical knowledge about that, so I learned. I mean I also hear some things from my colleagues and my fellow batchmates, my mentors, that this is going to help you in enhancing your skills. I mean, this is not a specialist course. This is a very generalist course. I mean, there's a difference between a technical course and a managerial course.
Yes.
So a technical course is more of a very specialist course. You go for core mechanical jobs or IT jobs. But being an MBA, you don't have to be a specialist. You have to become a journalist. If you're good at something and not good at all and not able to do all the other things at the same time, then you're not fit for MBA, I guess. So MBA is something which I guess makes you to become a generalist in all other fields. You can handle all other things. Even right now, I'm working in sales, but my job is very much related to finance. I mean, I'm connecting to finance team as well. I'm connecting to HR team as well, the operations team as well. So you have to become journalist somewhere. So that is where I thought that yes, this is what I'm good at. I'm good at managing so many things at a time. So I decided to go for MBA at that time, and uh, during the time when my school, my batchmates were preparing for GATE and all those technical exams, I was preparing for CAT. And for almost 2 years, I prepared for CAT, and then I got into IMT Nagpur.
Time TKC sir comes back, I'll continue with the next question to you. My question is, why did you decide to get into IMT Nagpur, and what was your experience at the institute?
Okay, so I mean, why did I go for IMT Nagpur? The first reason for this was it was a residential campus. I didn't know much about IMT Nagpur at the time of joining. I didn't know what kind of student run activities are there, or what kind of curriculum is actually happening, because I was an engineer, even though I was training for CAD. So but still I didn't have much knowledge that why I'm going for. Just one thing I had in mind, that I want to go for IMT Nagpur because it was a complete residential course. So 24 hours you are staying at the campus, you are with almost 700 people around you, and then I mean, this is what my first choice was there. And also it was because it was ranking in the top 20 that time, so I was very much inclined to go for IMT Nagpur. Then when I joined IMT Nagpur and I came here, and we had a Facebook group at that time before joining, just like the people right now are, I mean, listening to us over a webinar. So we had a Facebook group over there. So there was a constant cliche that there was, that IMT never sleeps. So we used to think that it's just a cliche, and just people just say it for the sake of saying. When we came to IMT Nagpur on 15 June 2015, that day and till the time I got my degree on convocation, I didn't sleep before 2 p.m. before 2 a.m. in the night. The whole 2 year I was working my ass off. I'm working, I mean, preparing, I mean, doing some assignments, doing some activities. So this all, I mean, at that time we were facing the pressure. We were feeling that why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, why is always a constant pressure to do something? There is curriculum, there are student run activities, there are quizzes going on, there are games going on, there are many activities that are going on apart from studies as well. And then the course was also not very easy. I mean, for the 2 years we have to attend like 90% of the classes so that we don't get a grade cut over there. And at the same time we were, I was in a forum that time. I was in Strategy, and so I was handling the forum games and forum activities. Apart from that, I was participating in other forums as well. So I was not getting any time, and I used to be a very early sleeper that time. But when I joined IMT Nagpur, for the 2 years I didn't sleep before 2 a.m., as I already told you. So what helped us in doing this, that when I joined my corporate sector, I mean, when I joined corporate, I was not feeling the pressure. I mean, I was very comfortable with it. And many people who joined with me, they were feeling like, why we have to work like this? Why have to work like this? I was very used to it. In those 2 years, I was feeling like I'm having a little less pressure right now in the corporates compared to IMT. So and so that is how it used to happen. And there were group presentations where there are 6 or 7 different people from your batch. One is very lethargic, one is very enthusiastic. So different kind of people, but you have to get the presentation done or the assignment done at that time, at the given time. So that was also a task in itself, that you have to, because you cannot go to a faculty and give excuses like, sir, this guy was not doing his work, or this girl was not doing her work. So we have to somehow manage those things. And sometimes we have to be very strict with our group members also, the people who are studying with us. So we have to be strict with them as well, that why you are not doing your work properly. So that is how you get to understand that how you manage a team, on how you become a team player. It's not always about leading the team, or crashing the team. It's always about the teamwork, but how you complete a task. So all these
Yes.
things help you in your corporate. And also the curriculum that IMT has. I mean, people say that it's only in the books. No, no. I mean, if they're saying this, they're somewhere wrong or they haven't studied well, because that curriculum has been decided, that has been structured in a way that you get to know, sitting in the classroom, you get to know the world, that what the world is doing and how they are handling the critical situations. Because IMT Nagpur always, I mean, I'm sure still they will be following a case study method, majorly a case study method.
Yes.
So that was not, I mean, that was not only book reading, I mean, studying the book or answering the questions. That was always about reading the cases, coming up with your suggestions. Because there is, because when you study a case study, there is never a right answer to it. You can, I mean, the different groups can come up with different suggestions. So that is how you understand that how different people work. When you go there, I was an engineer, so I always had friends from maths background or science background and engineering background. When I joined IMT Nagpur, so there were like so many different stream people over there. So you know, somehow somewhere you used to think that why are these people finding it so easy when it's very difficult for me when I read accounts. At the same time, when we were studying statistics, those people used to think that how these engineers can come up and, you know, solve these questions very easily. So you also learn to, you know, you all get to learn from very different cultures, very different streams when you go for an MBA. This doesn't happen when you go for a specialist course or engineering, because there are like-minded people are there. In your group of six, there might be six different people from six different streams, and all of them have their own capabilities, own ideas. So when you are doing a group project or a group presentation, you learn a lot. I mean, this cannot be done in a classroom environment. This has to be done in a residential campus only. This can be done only a residential campus, because I mean, and at the same time, like IMT Nagpur has so many committees and forums over there. And during my school time and engineering time, we used to take it very lightly, the forums, and those were extracurricular activities only. But for IMT Nagpur, those are not extracurricular activities. Those are the part of IMT's culture. You have to be somewhere. I mean, if I'm not saying that you have to join a committee or a forum for a show, but if there are some events going on, you have to participate in them. You have to take out your time, and if you are not able to do that, then it's going to become very difficult in your corporate career. Because if you are going there just to get a 8 pointer or 9 pointer, then you are wasting your time. Then you're definitely wasting your time if you're not doing those other things that needs to be done. Because uh, I've seen people who were very, you know, studious and not used to go for those things. But when you come to IMT and you see that people are roaming around 24 hours, there are canteens which are managed by students. There are you know, laundries which are managed by students. There are salons managed by students, and all those things. Uh, I mean, definitely our faculties are there to mentor us, but they also give us free hand that whatever you want to do, you do. We are there for to support you. So that is how IMT works. That is, I mean, even the placement, even the placement part, even though there is a experienced team of placement committee who calls the you know, organizations to come to campus, but the whole process is managed by students only. I mean, they are the face of IMT. So you know, you understand the responsibility that you get over there. That this can, I mean, this, I don't think so many colleges gives this much freedom to a student. I mean, I have come across many MBAs in my corporate as well. And when I used to tell them my stories about IMT Nagpur, they used to tell that what kind of colleges that, when were you guys studying? When were you guys getting the time to study? We were, I mean, we hardly managed to pass our university MBA exams. And I used to say that passing was not a thing for, I mean, if a IMT person is saying that I'm there to pass the exam, then he is not an IMT person. Yeah, I mean, he will be something different. He will be something different. And when I went for my corporate, my managers, when they, I mean, I'm not bragging about myself, but this has actually happened. They always treated me as a very different team member. I was not like other 10 team members. They always treated me like a different team member, that this guy can do something which all those 10 people cannot do. Maybe I'm not able to do some technical things or the hardworking thing, but when it comes to creativity, when it comes to doing something out of the box, then they always go for me. I mean, I was the first choice to do all those things, because they knew that I had a very different way of approaching things, and it came from IMT only. Yes, I was a very active person, but IMT, I mean, helped me to finesse those things. I sharpened my tool actually. That yes, and so it becomes very easy for you when you come go for corporates. Even during my HR interviews, when they hear that I'm from IMT Nagpur, it creates an image. It creates an image that this guy is from IMT Nagpur. Okay, so I mean, because now the organizations know that IMT Nagpur students, they don't just study, they do all those things during their studies as well. So they are actually managing the things. I mean, I won't say that everybody is a hard worker, but definitely IMT people are smart workers over there. So I guess that suffice your question, Priyanshi.
Definitely, sir. Sir, you have been into sales and marketing for the past 7 years. So, have you always wanted to get into this field, or something that transpired during your 2 years of post graduation that made you opt for this profession?
Okay. So first of all, Priyanshi, I don't think so. No, anybody wants to go for sales when they join MBA. Or everybody wants to go for, I want to manage brands, or I want to go for HR. I mean, so those kind of things come to your mind, because you really don't, I mean, you don't take sales as a very white collar profession. You think that it's, I mean, when the word comes sales, I mean, we always think that it's a, minuscule job, or this is not what I mean, I'm doing the MBA for. So yes, I was also of that mindset, that when I came to IMT, so I was always thinking that I'll be going for some statistic job, or some research job, research field I will be going for. That was my mindset at that time. I also took HR as my second specialization. But during those times in MBA, when I got to study, and I came to um, uh, taught by PKC sir, or let's say Kamble sir, our marketing student, sorry, faculty, and Anant Ram sir for service marketing. Then I saw the passion in them. Yeah, I mean, the kind of passion that these guys had, even after working in the academics for last 10, 15, 20 years, they still had the passion for sales. I mean, the way they speak about what they have done, and how the how all the companies are doing, you tend to inspire somewhere. I mean, you get inspired. There is something, I mean, sales is not a very easy job, or it's definitely not an easy job, but people think it's a blue collar job or a very hard working job. It's not like that. If you are an MBA and if you are going for sales, you are not there to do the hardcore sales. You are there to manage a team and get the work done. Yes, you have to know that how your product is going to sell, and sometimes you have to go in the market and show your team that yes, this is how it is going to be done. But at the same time, you are not always going to do the task. You have to uplift your team, you have to train your team, that yes, this is something that you have to do, and this can be done, this can be done, and this is your job to get your get this thing in their head, because you are not always going to do each and every task. You have to somewhere uh, train your team to do such tasks. So in IMT, I mean, in the second year, I was very clear that yes, I want to go for sales or marketing. And even though people, when we join MBA, we take, I mean, we call these both very sales and marketing in the same line, but they are very different functions altogether. And but they work in the same line, and if they are not working in the same line, then it becomes a very difficult thing for an organization. But you have to be prepared to go for sales, because I mean, being very honest, marketing jobs are lesser than sales jobs. So somewhere you have to be prepared for sales as well. And once you go for sales, once you go for ground sales, hardcore sales, then you get to understand all the policies of your organization, that uh, how your supply chain is working, how your marketing team is working, how your HR team is working. So all those things you can understand when you are into HR. So sorry, when you're into sales. So this is why I was very much inclined in the second year for to go for HR and sorry, sales and marketing. And for the last 5.5 years, I'm working in sales, and I'm enjoying the every bit of it.
Yes, sir. So, in the current situation, what do you think should be an MBA aspirant's plan of action? Like, what are all should he or she be prepared for, or what skills are needed to survive in this scenario?
Okay, Priyanshi. So we are facing a very unprecedented situation right now, and we all know it's very difficult. We are seeing companies laying off people right now, or they have stopped the recruitment process also somewhere. But I guess it's just a phase. We faced this situation in 2008 as well. I was in my graduation at that time, so I have seen that phase. So the recession phase we have seen. So it's just a phase. It will go. It will pass on. But at the same time, what we need to do, that this internet thing is very, is can do wonders for you. I mean, there are multiple courses over there. I'm not saying that you go for each and every course, but even if you go for two or three courses, linked to your interest, subject of interest, and you go do it very dedicatedly, then it will help. It will definitely boost your skills and make your network, build your network in these times. Go for LinkedIn. I mean, try to connect. I mean, whoever you want to. I mean, in the field, if you want to connect to someone, just be very frank and build your network at this time. And also, it's not only about writing it in your CV. It's about that you're actually feeling those things, you are actually learning those things. I mean, because if you learn something, then you don't have to speak a lot about that thing, because that comes within. I mean, the passion shows. If you're actually interested in something, if you're actually develop something in you. So let's say, I mean, I have been a very cricket enthusiast and cinema enthusiast. So when I speak about cricket and cinema, I don't have to gather information from some anywhere, because that is in my veins. I read articles regarding that. I mean, I don't have to find articles regarding that. I read about them. And so you have to somewhere find your hobby or your interest, and develop on it. Make read good articles about them. So that passion should come in you. That passion is always going to help you. It's not only about interviews or anywhere. That is always going to help you if you have some passion in you. So you have to somewhere develop that passion, that hobby, or that interest in you, uh, which will make you different from another person.
Yes, sir. So, my Sir Ravina says in the present scenario, why HR seems to be underrated when compared with finance or marketing. Does IMT Nagpur provide a good curriculum and job profile of HR?
TKC sir, can I take this question?
You take it.
Okay. Because I am taking. Sorry to interrupt, TKC sir, because I had taken HR, and my second specialization was HR. and I enjoyed the curriculum like anything. The HR in IMT Nagpur, that you will enjoy like anything. You will get to know so many things, that how a company's HR team works, and HR is just not human resource. There are so many things. There are so many things. There is analytics. There is proper, you know, we can say that HR is a very, subjective thing, but it has become very analytical right now, and people are using so many tools, so many psychometric tests to, recruit. The recruitment is just a very small part of an HR. It's a very small part. It's not about recruiting only. Recruiting is I mean, when you are very new, when you are a fresher, then you will be handed a job to recruit, or to train you. But after it becomes a very difficult, I mean, your how I mean, because when you become a very important function in your organization, that how we are going to, save the money, save the amount in your salaries and all those things. So that becomes a part of your job description then, and then it becomes very mathematical. Let me tell you, it's not very subjective. It's not always talking. Maybe a salesperson is talking more than a HR person. HR persons are right now, they need to be very technically uplifted and very, good with numbers, because if, let's say, I'm giving you an example. If you are going to hire a person who is having a package of 20 lakhs per year, and somehow you convince him to go for an 18 lakhs or 19 lakhs, that is going to help your organization like anything. Those 1 lakh and 2 lakh multiplied by different people is going to help you in so many things. So HR, we see so many. I'm very. I know where it is coming from, that HR is underrated. It is because of some YouTube videos that are going on right now, and people are making memes over HRs, but that is not all true right now. That used to happen some time back, when HR was also only a recruiting job, or they used to think that they're only there to, organize festivals and all those things, but that is not true right now. uh, a company's HR holds a very, very, very powerful position, because uh, if you decide an HR policy, makes a very big plays a very big role when an employee goes to join a company. A good talent pool is derived from your HR policies only. So if you become an HR, you have to be very, aware of what is going on in the market, what is the average salary going on, what are kind of benefits the companies are giving, and at the same time you have to be very sure that whatever HR policies that you have made, your management has made, is being implemented on ground. Because many HRs don't even come to know that why his company's talent pool is leaving the organization. So if you are good at what you are doing, then your talent pool is not going anywhere, because recruiting a new talent and making him train, it's a very, very tedious task, and it involves a huge cost as well. So don't think that HR is an underrated, or any less than a sales or operational, uh, any less than any other role.